Schools are supposed to be a safe place where children can learn, grow, and be with their friends. But since 1999, there have been 404 school shootings in America. This proves that America's schools are increasingly becoming targets of the most extreme violence. This is a problem that screams for action, that demands us to come together and say no more and work together to find a solution. Sadly, that hasn't happened yet. Even though these acts of senseless violence end lives within an instant, for most Americans, their life goes on, and these horrific events get put on the back burner and become background noise. Most of us are either too afraid, too careless, or too defeated to take enough action. And after each school shooting, America's shock and anger fades into complacency, without anyone taking enough action to effect real change. Eloise Cobell and Franklin Delano Roosevelt did not fall into this category. They were not paralyzed by the magnitude of the challenges that lay before them. They took action to address problems in their community. Eloise Cobell, in particular, confronted the government face to face and fought against the mismanagement of Indian trust funds. Roosevelt gave an empowering speech and inspired thousands across the country to help public America out of the Great Depression. So, when confronting the issue of school shootings, we should find inspiration from their words and tendency, and like them, to effect real change, we too must act. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is considered to be one of the most influential and powerful leaders of all time. His response to not only the Great Depression, but to other challenges that he faced made him a defining figure in history. In his inaugural address, Roosevelt outlined his ambitious plans for ending the Depression. He pulled no punches, and he did not sugarcoat the solution to make it seem quick or easy. But he did promise that the government would work to confront the issue. And he assured Americans that if they too act, then things could get better. He also convinced America that the only thing they have to fear is fear itself. Fear, according to Roosevelt, can paralyze us and stop us from taking action. Roosevelt told America that no matter how big the problem, we can defeat it if we come together and take action. That same lesson applies to the school shooting epidemic of today. If Americans think that the problem is too big and let fear get the best of them, nothing will change and children will continue to die. Fear cannot paralyze a nation. Like the generations before us, we must work hard and come together to find a solution to school shootings. And we cannot leave it up to the government alone to find a solution. All the gun laws in the world aren't going to matter unless we address the glamorization of guns and glorification of guns in society and find better ways to help and identify those with mental health issues. To save today's students and future generations, we must act. Eloise Cobell is an entrepreneur, advocate, and member of the Blackfeet Indian tribe who fought tirelessly for government accountability. Seeing that the government funds that were intended to benefit her people were being misused, Cobell sought to take action. It was not quick or easy, and she did not succeed right away. But she didn't give up. She tried, and when she failed, she tried again. The U.S. government fought Cobell every tooth and nail step of the way, but Cobell refused to back down. Instead, she engaged in a 30-year battle for justice against one of the most powerful governments in the world. With each new obstacle that her opponents threw at her, Cobell gained more resolve to give her people a small measure of justice. Eventually, she won, and she forced the federal government to give American Indians a full accounting of Indian trusts and gain long overdue funds for her people. Like Cobell, we must be tenacious and unrelenting to finding a solution. Students and children across the country deserve a small measure of justice. They deserve to learn in a safe environment without the threat of death hanging over them. Cobell showed us that justice can be achieved if we take action and fight for however long it takes. Now it is time for us to do the same. If we're going to end the school shooting epidemic, we must learn from Roosevelt and Cobell and take action. At the minimum, Americans need to push our government to strengthen its gun laws and restrictions. In particular, the government needs to raise the minimum age to purchase semi-automatic rifles to 21, ensure that firearms are properly and safely secured, and require background checks on all gun sales, and eliminate any loopholes in gun laws. These are just a few examples of prevention policies that the government can implement to lessen school shootings. The solution, however, isn't limited to stricter gun laws. The problem of gun violence stems from the glorification of guns in American society. Lewis Haas from the Tennessean argues that, like it or not, we are a gun nut nation. This is exemplified in our laws, our history, our foods, our criminality, and our pop culture. The common perception that guns are heroic and empowering must be changed. Guns are not a toy, they are a tool, and if in the wrong hands of wrong people, they can be deadly and dangerous. People on both sides of the Second Amendment debate should get behind the idea that we need to teach our children that guns are not a solution to their problems. In writing about gun violence, Governing Magazine posed the question, how many more students have to walk into school only to never walk out? The answer should be none. America's school children have suffered too much in the hands of people who use guns to commit inhumane and horrific acts of violence. The lost lives of these children cannot become background noise. Gun violence in school is preventable, but nothing will change unless we act. Just as Roosevelt told us, we must act. And just like Coble did, we must be tenacious and keep fighting for however long it takes. We must come together to find a solution to end school shootings and give children the right to live and to learn in a safe environment. As former President Barack Obama said in his speech following the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, we won't be able to stop every violent act. But if there is one thing that we can do to prevent any of these events, we have a deep obligation, all of us, to try.
What evidence did you gather that you didn't include in your presentation, and why did you choose not to include it?
Some evidence that I gathered but didn't include was some more details surrounding Roosevelt's inaugural address and Eloise Cobell's journey. So in my essay, I explained how Roosevelt used empowering and uplifting diction to inspire his audience, and instill confidence in his audience's ability to actively address and solve their problems. I also left out parts of Cobell's journey in my essay. For example, I left out a major obstacle that she faced when a bill was passed to give her people the rights and dignity they deserve. I didn't have enough time to incorporate this additional information in my speech, so that's why I didn't include it.
Okay, thank you. What additional questions emerged from your research, and why are those questions important?
Some additional questions that emerged from my research are, what steps can high school students take to address gun violence in schools? Another question that emerged from my research is, why does America glorify guns so much in comparison to other countries? Because we see other countries not having the same issues that we do here. And also, why aren't people using guns for what they are? It seems that this is important because gun violence stems from the glorification of guns in society. So we need to address this issue.
Okay, thank you. Another round